All right, lesson number 3 is the major scale. The major scale is the notes of the musical alphabet numbered 1 through 8 in ascending order. The intervals of the major scale formula using whole steps and half steps are as follows. Well, this is the shape of the major scale. If you start here, and we're going to say this is F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, E, C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp. Now to use the major scale formula, if you are starting on F sharp and going to G sharp, it is called a whole step. From G sharp to A sharp is a whole step. From A sharp to B is a half step. From B to C sharp is a whole step. C sharp to D sharp, whole step. D sharp to E sharp, whole step. F sharp, E sharp to F sharp is a half step. A whole step is 2 frets on the neck of the bass. A half step is 1 fret on the neck of the bass. That is the major scale. Now, applying a number system to the major scale. For example, if we were going to play in the key of C major, which would be C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Applying the number system, C is 1, D is 2, E is 3, F 4, G 5, A 6, B 7, and C octave is 8. The reason why you learn the number system is you can communicate with your fellow musicians without knowing what note that you are playing. Once again, if we were at C, which would be 1, and we want to do a 1, 4, 5 progression, it would be C, F, and G. That is the number system to the major scale. You can also play a 2-5-1, which would be D, G, C. The number system of the major scale can be applied to any major key. By learning this number system, you will be able to effectively communicate with your fellow musicians. Lesson 4 is building bass lines from scratch. And here it says, as a bass player in a band or studio environment, sometimes you are given sheet music that only contains the chord progressions. You often have to come up with the original bass lines to the chord progressions of the song. Below are some ideas used to help build bass lines using the major scale. Before building these bass lines, here are some words and definitions that you need to know. Chord. A chord is 3 or more notes played at the same time, usually by the keyboard player or the guitar player. Arpeggio is the single note of a chord played individually. Pentatonic is the 5 notes of the major scale. Chromatic the 12 notes that make up the entire musical scale, played in half steps, ascending and descending. Methods for building bass lines. You can play the roots and the octave. For example, if I was to play G, which is the 3rd fret on the E string, and I could play the octave G. Play the roots, the 5th of an octave. In the key of G, it would be G, D, G. The pentatonic notes of the major scale is the notes 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6 of the major scale. So in the key of G, it would be 1, or G, A, B, D, E. And of course the octave, G. You can play the chromatics up and down, which a chromatic is played in half steps, such as G. To play 3 notes in succession in half steps is playing chromatics. You can play the arpeggios, which is the 1, the 3, the 5, and 7 of the major scale. So in the key of G, it would be G, B, D, F sharp. You can also invert the arpeggios 1, 3, 5, 7, 3, 5, 7, 1, 5, 7, 3, 1, 7, 1, 3, 5. Learn and apply these methods to build basic bass lines. When you get comfortable, gradually progress and start using diatonic chord functions and modes, which are mentioned later on in lessons 7 and 8. And that's building basic bass lines. A quick recap is play the roots and the octaves, play roots, 5th and octaves, play the pentatonic notes or the pentatonic scale, play the chromatics, and play the arpeggios and invert the arpeggios. And that concludes lesson number 4, building basic bass lines.